Hello everyone, welcome to another amazing video. If you enjoy the content, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming parts and new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Are you ready? Let's go.
A few moments later, the slime is tied up by some players who fought against them, while Yuko still does her best to assemble the device. Shortly after, she finishes, surprising even the commentator, stating that she is very strong because she managed to disassemble the parts of the device and reassemble them into a new one. She then declares that they still need to make one more to pass, and many players are probably distracted by Yiwu, so they can rest a bit while working. She asks Skeleton why he sold all those skins, as they almost didn't make it on time, to which he justifies that, considering the quantity he killed, it should be enough for some players to come and help. However, he didn't expect there to be another shameless person like him. Even considering the number of ghost martins he and the Big Bear killed, there should be a number of players who could pass. But currently, it seems someone else killed more ghost martins and didn't bother to sell them. This should have already been calculated, meaning they have a formation mage who is not in this stage. Currently, formation mages are rarely seen participating, as they are the hardest to cultivate. Because of this, their passing standards are also the easiest. While he is explaining all this, someone teleports in front of them again. Therefore, Skeleton was about to turn the person into an ice pop, but the Big Bear stopped him. He then introduced her as his daughter-in-law, who just finished her formation exam and came to find him, so she poses no danger. He was somewhat right about her not being a danger, but only to them. Not so much for him, as she tells the Big Bear to kneel, which he does immediately. Now that he is closer to her, she bites his ear while venting her anger for what the Big Bear made her go through. After the sweet reunion, she says something to Skeleton, but he can't hear her because she is shy speaking to strangers. So, the Big Bear tells him, informing Skeleton that he has something on him, a formation spell with something like a tracker. With a hand gesture, she breaks the entire formation spell that is on Skeleton. After that, she starts to be shy again. Skeleton then thanks them and now knows why those players always seem to find him. He then wonders who could have put a formation spell on him, and the only player he interacted with a lot is that cat, so he concludes that it was her. If he had known earlier, it wouldn't have been so cheap. After this, the Big Bear and his daughter-in-law decide to leave first, so they say goodbye and promise to meet later. A few moments later, Yuko finally finishes the device. Now they have all the items to level up, while Kitty and the others have found their locations and are trying to stop them. However, they were late. Now Skeleton and his team are about to be teleported to the next level, but before it's completed, he calls Kitty and throws all the skins into the air, smiling coldly as he declares that they will settle their differences in the next level. After completing the level, they are teleported to a beach resort, where players rest after the stressful level, which Bubble enjoyed a lot. They are then greeted by the Big Bear, who is also enjoying his time. Meanwhile, an NPC gives them a swimsuit to wear for the occasion and to wait for the arrival of the other players, which Bubble eagerly anticipates for swimming. However, Skeleton advises her not to do so, as there isn't enough time for that, and he was correct, as the commentator begins the countdown, and after that, the preliminaries are over. They welcome all 28 players who pass the test to the central location for reassessment. The commentator then explains their situation, stating that technically all of them could pass without being caught, with the limit being 30 people, but the reassessment would still take place. The winner of the reassessment will receive the grand prize, and that prize is clues for the new main mission. The ranking will determine if they can receive school resources and guidance from the teachers. After finishing, they start the exam, labeled as the Island Werewolf. Seeing that Bubble is confused as usual, they take the opportunity to explain the rules to her, stating that the test is divided into day and night. During the day, no one can fight. They can form alliances that will be important in the future, and this will be explained later on. Now, their numbers are mixed, and they will be randomly assigned to each player. They will receive another player's number plate, and this exam uses a point system. If they manage to retrieve their own number, they will gain 10 points. Numbers taken that are not their own will only give 1 point. During the night, they can choose one type of energy ability from these 3 energies to cast. Only one energy ability can be cast per night, and they cannot reuse the same energy ability. With the prophet ability, they can check the numbers of 3 players. But if they choose to be a prophet, they lose all defensive abilities and become weaker players. Players who choose to become a werewolf will receive an enhancement, entering berserk mode and doubling their abilities. Once they successfully hunt a player, the hunter will receive the number plate of the victim they hunted. If a target has multiple number plates, a successful attack must specify the number plate the attacker wants. Otherwise, a plate will be randomly given. If multiple players attack a single player simultaneously, each successful attacker will receive a number plate. By choosing to become a guardian, the player will enter lockdown mode. This time, players must stay in their own homes unless there is contact during the day. Otherwise, any attack or hunt will be ineffective during this time. During the day, everyone can choose to ally or exchange number plate information. An alliance request may allow partners to enter each other's homes, though everyone must be cautious, as allies may also attempt to steal number plates. There will be a total of 10 days in this cycle. After these 10 days, the administrator will collect data to determine the rankings. If 3 nights pass without a number plate, the player will be eliminated. If a player has no number plate and receives 2 attacks in one night, they will also be eliminated. However, at the same time, players can enjoy themselves during the day. There are waiters they can communicate with, and they will try to ensure that everyone's needs are met and satisfied. Thus, the commentators advise not to waste any more time, and those with lingering questions about the rules can ask the waiters. After their explanations, they bid farewell and will be awaiting the results. Meanwhile, everyone can return to their homes to discover their assigned numbers, as every night they will be both hunters and prey. Later, Kitty is ecstatic to receive a werewolf enhancement, and knowing it's impossible to form an alliance on the first night, she assumes that the mages will choose to guard this card. Top players are very challenging to hunt, as they are mostly seeded players from large unions. Warriors must choose to be either a werewolf or a prophet, which ranks lower. Now that she understands, she seeks an opponent to kill first, but to her surprise, someone is already behind her, and that someone is Skeleton and Bubble because she intentionally placed a tracking information piece on them, which they didn't like. Completely suppressed, she uses her ultimate ability, just like her master would. Then, she tries her best to escape the situation, but unfortunately for her, Skeleton doesn't care about her reasons, as she is his target from the start. He then approaches her, believing that she can't defeat him, even if she doubles her attributes, and as he has that forbidden risen him, he suggests that she hands over her number plate voluntarily, or he will search her body. But before she can respond, he orders Bubble to help him restrain her. A few moments later, Kitty is now wearing a cute dress, trembling with embarrassment, while Skeleton teases her. Humiliated, she fusses over her dress, and as they already have her number, she asks them to let her go. Fortunately, Skeleton hasn't finished playing with her, so he complies with her request, but warns her that they will visit her again in a few days and tells her that he will personally ask the attendants how many princess dresses they have in her size for future roleplay. With this outcome, she is now questioning her life choices. Meanwhile, the commentators are having fun witnessing this drama unfold live. At the same time, they feel sorry for Kitty as this is being broadcasted worldwide. After some good laughs, they then decide to check on the situation of other players. They go to check on Cyan, who chose the prophet ability to check the number plates of various players. Unfortunately, his number plate has already been taken by ghouling. Basically, high-ranking players are attacking, and low-ranking ones are defending. The confrontation period for this night, the first night, is 2 hours, so it's almost over. The next day, luxurious food is placed on the table, and Skeleton and Bubble are now in swimsuits. They are then greeted by Yuko and the Big Bear, so they discuss forming alliances. But as they can only make one alliance per night, they need to share more information and then determine the order of forming alliances, as well as deciding on offensive and defensive targets. Yuko suggests sharing each other's number plate information so that if one of them has the other's number plate, they can trade first. After all, in cooperation, trust is key. Therefore, they did exactly that. Now that they know each other's number plates, they plan to determine which cards to use first to strategically decide on targets since they cannot select the same card ability the following day. So, during the day, they need to communicate with other players to gather more information about their number platees. Hearing all of this, Skeleton agrees with them. However, there are only 4 hours allocated for rest during the day, and before doing all of this he agreed to swim in the ocean with Bubble first. And that's exactly what he did. A few moments later, Guling appeared in front of Bubbly and Skeleton and decided to ask to exchange information about the cards they possess and suggest establishing an alliance as well. However, he was ignored since Skeleton is busy apologizing to Bubble for forcing her to swim, almost accidentally drowning her because he didn't know she couldn't swim. To show sincerity in his apology, he offered to teach her to swim later, while Guling still tries to get their attention. Soon after, they noticed Guling's presence, so Skeleton asked who he was, to which he reintroduced himself and told them his intention. Now that Skeleton knew what he wanted, he suggested discussing the matter in a private place, and that's what they did. But before that, he helped Bubble stand up, as she was still a bit upset about what happened, ignoring Guling's presence again. They then arrived at Guling's place, where Jian Liwei is enjoying her time reading books, while Skeleton and Bubble are impressed with her beauty. She then condescendingly asks if she is in the presence of the strong pet that caused a lot of confusion during the preliminaries, which Skeleton was foolish enough to take as a compliment, so he reacts humbly. At the same time, both remind him that it wasn't a compliment. After introducing themselves, Guling explained why he wanted to form an alliance with them. Guling stated that everyone is seeking to win, and the main thing they need to accomplish is to gain the maximum hunting points in 10 rounds since abilities cannot be reused 2 nights in a row. The maximum points a single player can obtain in 10 rounds are 14, considering each death is successful. Therefore, they are hoping to form an alliance with Bubble and Skeleton so that they can share information and cooperate with Guling to earn more points. Skeleton is confused by Guling's suggestions, as he was asking for an alliance but ended up being just to assist Guling. Therefore, Guling draws his sword to explain, and because of this he is almost invincible. He adds that if he wins the main task, he can share an appropriate amount of information with them. If possible, he also wants to recruit Bubble into his union. Meanwhile, Bubble is confused about the broken sword in front of her, so she asks what she can do. Skeleton explains that the reward for the 3rd main task is the magical artifact Genuine Sword, one of the enchantments of which must quadruple its own properties. The Shenwen Society really brought this divine tool for Guling. In other words, Guling can always be in double werewolf mode. Even if he chooses the Prophet card, he can still easily kill common werewolves. Saying this, Skeleton realizes they still see him as a pet, so he asks Bubble if she could bring this pet to join their union. They would be happy to collect him, which annoys Bubble, but she doesn't respond and lets them speak first. They add that they also have another artifact from the main tasks as members of the largest trading union in Azure. This evaluation is just a process for them to pass. Therefore, they try to convince Bubble to join Xinyuan, stating that they can ensure they will treat her well, as he is the first successor of Xinyuan. A few moments later, the meeting ends, and Bubble and Skeleton are now outside. Bubble realizes that Skeleton is thoughtful and asks what's going on, to which he responds that, as expected, there is a big difference between them and the large union. Therefore, he realized that he was too naive before, thinking he could win alone. After joining Xinyuan, they can easily make money and reputation. Speaking all this nonsense earned him a scolding from Bubble, who asked what he was talking about and why they had to join Guling's union. Aren't they happy with what they have now? They just got a clue, and if they can't get it, they'll work hard in a different direction. Besides, they treated him like an object and wanted to store him or something, which she didn't like to hear. During this time, she was really happy. Honestly, her health is not good, so she can't drink milk tea or eat much. In Azuri, she ate a lot, explored a lot, and even saw the sea today. It's the first time she sees it. No matter how big the union is, it doesn't matter to her because what's important is who you experience the task with. So, she asks to work together and calls Skeleton Prince Skeleton. Hearing all this from Bubble, he now knows it's her first time seeing the sea. So it's no wonder she didn't know how to swim, which made her irritated that he brought it up again. but their sweet conversation was interrupted by someone saying that the Miss has something to say to them. In a hurry, the Miss approached Bubble and asked if Skeleton's pet was for sale. If so, she could pay in cash. Hearing the audacity of this, Bubble asks loudly if she is crazy, not believing she found people who want to collect her pet while the other wants to buy him on the same day. So, Bubble challenges her, putting a price of 100 million won on Skeleton and daring her to buy him, but to Bubble's surprise, she agrees. However, Bubble doesn't plan to sell Skeleton to anyone, so she just walks away and ignores them, while the Miss still thinks she can buy whatever she wants. In a scene change, Bubble is having a rage attack about what happened earlier, while Skeleton has the brilliant idea of letting Bubble sell him since his level is much higher than the Miss. After being sold to her, he can sneakily come back, and then Bubble can sell him to her again, which irritated Bubble to hear such a plan. Meanwhile, Big Bear returns and tells them that something is wrong because the front row is filled with members of large unions who are looking to outperform the players behind them, while those players who don't belong to large unions basically bought their badges at high prices to level up so they wouldn't cooperate with them, no matter what. After delivering the bad news to them, he asks Skeleton what happened on their side, to which Skeleton explains everything that happened, shocking Big Bear that someone was willing to buy a pet for 100 million. Then he asks if the woman wants a bear too, and that he can also turn into a snake, offering it as a package. However, he soon realizes it was a mistake, so he changes the subject. Shortly after, Yuko brought 2 assistants with her. Quanta approached Skeleton directly and sniffed him. Confused, Skeleton asked what it was for, to which Quanta blushed and replied that there was a smell of his mother on him, leaving Skeleton puzzled, insinuating that Skeleton did something with Quanta's mother. Before he could ask, Yuko explained to Skeleton that Quanta was raised by wild monsters, so it probably means there's a smell of wild monsters coming from his body, which he confirmed with a nod. After that, they introduced themselves, but before they could talk more, Yiwu asked everyone to gather in the square as he had something to say. Intrigued by what was happening, they gathered to see what he had to say. Now that everyone was gathered in one place, Yiwu declared that he thought about it carefully, and as this game requires everyone to be open and honest, if everyone shared their badge numbers with each other and stopped attacking each other, this would ensure that everyone would have 10 points. In this way, everyone would be in first place. As an example, he already returned the badge number to the Tiger Lady and hopes that everyone joins his camp because he has a dream. He wants everyone to hold hands and be in first place. Then he asks his brother to join him and adds that if they don't exchange their badge numbers, it will be difficult for them to surpass the score of the Tiger Lady. Meanwhile, Guling is on the side and tired of seeing Yiwu deceive the players again. At the same time, Skeleton and Bubble decide to return to their place, while Bubble thinks that what Yiwu is saying makes some sense. However, Skeleton disagrees and explains that she is mistaken because Yiwu is just trying to deceive people. Why would someone with 2 cards that successfully hunted on the first night bother to exchange cards? Furthermore, if a large guild wins and receives clues for the main mission, they can use the clues to prepare in advance, trade for money and time, and pay more attention. They will be on a completely different level compared to normal players. Yiwu knows this better than anyone, but if he gives 10 points to all players, it will be much harder for them to hunt. There will be 5 opportunities to hunt, meaning they must accurately determine where their badge number is, or they will lose. Yiwu is treating this competition like a chess game. He's not thinking about winning, but rather how he can make the game more chaotic. For large guilds, a magical pet is just a toy to collect and play with. But one of Skeleton's favorite books says that weakness and ignorance are not obstacles to survival. Arrogance is. They dare to underestimate him as a small pet, so he will turn the chessboard for them. Later, Bubble is using her card ability as a prophet to look at the opponent's information. Now they know the badge numbers of Guling and Jianlu. Next, they need to confirm the players behind those badge numbers tomorrow, and since they chose the prophet tonight, they will have to stay closed and together. Skeleton then asks Big Bear to help him decide which princess dress is prettier, to which Big Bear, with a serious expression, asks Skeleton what he's doing but still gives a suggestion. After that, they decide to play and enjoy their time together. The next day, Big Bear's daughter-in-law is shocked to see what happened to him, to which he explains that he was playing cards with them the night before and didn't win any rounds. Soon after, Yuko informs them excitedly that she got Guling's badge number. She obtained this badge number yesterday as she chose the werewolf card and went to kill the player with the badge number 1900, the grasshopper player. In his hands, he really had been assigned a card with the number 1, but to their surprise, Guling was behind her, thanking her for helping him find it. He adds that yesterday he chose the prophecy card and was surprised to coincidentally find where the number 8, the number of his card, was located. With this, he suggests that they set a price. However, unexpectedly, Yuko didn't care about what he just said, telling him to buzz off while asking who raised him to be so spoiled. And, as expected, Guling was confused as to why she was hostile to him. Therefore, she clarifies what she feels about him meddling in other people's affairs without notice, acting spoiled because he is part of an influential union. But unfortunately, she doesn't care about any of that, so even if she wants to throw his badge number away, she won't give it to him. While others felt satisfaction seeing Guling also being scolded like this, Guling felt disrespected, so he decided he would have to get his badge number on his own. But before he could walk away, Yuko stopped him because, now that she's done yelling, they still need to do business. She tells him that she can give him his badge number as long as a few conditions are met. First, he must obtain the badge numbers of Bubble and herself for them. Second, after the preliminaries, they want to join Shen Yuan as external elders. With just these conditions, he agrees and therefore receives his badge number. Since she planned to negotiate from the beginning, he asks her why she felt the need to yell at him in the beginning, as she had never been yelled at like that before, to which she tells him to shut up because she just wanted to do that. Meanwhile, the commentators are confused by the fight, as they can't believe they gave Guling's badge number to him so easily. Now, Guling, who possesses the Shin Yuan sword, will have an unlimited advantage over the other players. The commentators doubt if they are really against Guling. A few moments later, Skeleton and his group are planning their next move. Skeleton suggests that they first leak the information that Guling got his badge number to all the other players. Then, Xiao Bao will go find the person who saw the badge number that Guling has in his hands and ask if he would like to form an alliance. He will meet with Cece and Sane to exchange information. Everyone will move independently, and with this plan, everyone agrees. Now, the commentator makes an assumption about what they are planning to do, as Skeleton and his companions cannot face players like Guling, who possesses the Shenyuan sword, and Zhang Hu, who possesses another divine artifact, alone. During this time, they will need to ally with other players. However, players will only agree to ally when Guling's points are significantly ahead, because humans will only ally closely with each other when facing a greater threat. In Azure, there are NPCs with high intelligence who also participate in the competition. However, this particular NPC must have a super high intelligence level, seeing how quickly he responded to take advantage of a badge number right after obtaining it. Due to Yuko yelling at Guling, her popularity has exponentially increased on the off-site popularity chart, and she is currently in first place. Normally, high-intelligence NPCs only appear once every few years, but this year, there are 3 of them in the top 10. Additionally, there is also a shameless pet this year. With this unfolding before their eyes, they eagerly await the competition and wonder who will be the ultimate winner. Meanwhile, inside room number 7, the girl from before is more than happy that Skeleton finally decided to look for her on his own and be her skeleton. She promises him that she can give him many things and treat him better than his current owner. Even though Skeleton can't handle her desire, he tries to clarify that he and Bubble are not in a master-pet relationship, but are best friends who have been through a lot together. With this, she claims to understand, but under these circumstances, she just needs to add more money, which leaves Skeleton agitated, as she didn't understand anything. He then tells her the reason for the visit, convincing her that if they form an alliance this time, there will still be many intelligent pets like him. Upon hearing this, she snaps back to reality, now more excited than ever, and quickly accepts his offer. She claims that he can even use all her subordinates. Skeleton is thrilled that he can now add money to his bank without losing dignity. The next day, Kitty is comfortably lying in Skeleton's lap, while Skeleton is jotting down notes about the events that occurred to aid in devising a plan. Big Bear then asks why he only brought one woman and a cat. With this question, Skeleton realizes that Bubble is quite furious, so he tries to defuse the situation by explaining what happened and that Kitty, whom he is petting comfortably, he found while looking for an alliance, but in reality, he found Yuwu and managed to tell him that they have to unite. However, in his plan, he also needs something else, which is the cat's help for spying. However, Skeleton just wants to pet the cat, so he simply lets her stay with him. Now in the present, Skeleton realizes that Kitty is slowly adapting to her role. Shortly after, Yuko returns to show Skeleton the list of people aligned with them, but he is unsure if it is enough for now. Meanwhile, Kitty asks why he stopped petting her. Upon saying these words, she quickly realizes that she has become submissive, and blames Azure's sensory device for being so realistic that she has become like a cat. She decides it's better to wake up but changes her mind as Skeleton continues to pet her with his highly skilled hand techniques. She convinces herself that she's not leaving the game because she likes it, but because quitting the event would mean giving up, and it took a lot of effort to get this far, so she'll just endure it and let Skeleton pet her. At the same time, Quanta returns and sees what Skeleton and Kitty are doing, but before he can say anything, Skeleton asks if he contacted Sane's side, to which he responds yes and therefore asks for a reward, wondering if Skeleton can pet him too. And as it was a request from Mrs. Subordinate, Skeleton did just that. With this, Quanta was delighted and even bragged to his companion that his mommy just praised him, while Skeleton clarified to him that he is not his mother. Now that everyone is gathered, he tells them that tonight they will all confirm the card choice and the situation of Guling and Jinluyua. Once they confirm they are in a good position to hunt, everyone will attack together. And when the opponents retaliate, it will be tricky for them to borrow defenses from their allies. Later, someone confirmed Guling's status, so they were alerted to attack him now. With this, he chose to become a werewolf and hunt the opponent Guling. In a scene change, Guling is sitting in his room menacingly, listening to footsteps near his place. He greets them confidently, saying that he knew this would happen the moment they gave him the badge number, but it would be foolish to refuse. He then sighs, stating that he should just wipe them all out already because if he doesn't kill them all at once, they will never know the difference in their abilities. He then asks Skeleton how many people are present and assures that he hasn't allied with anyone, to which Skeleton informs him that it's 19 against 1 and asserts that they will take him down that night with so many people. With Skeleton, Guling then made an assumption about what they were planning to do, so without hesitation, he went to attack Skeleton first, striking him from behind. However, fortunately, Quanta matched Guling's speed, so he successfully blocked the attack, sacrificing his hands. And as he has a fast regeneration ability, it was not a problem for him. Skeleton then assures Quanta that he could also keep up with Guling's speed. And, as expected, the Shenhuan sword is indeed powerful. However, there are a total of 5 seals, so it takes 5 turns before it can attack again. Therefore, Skeleton took a deep breath, covering himself in ice to reveal his true form. Now, he could be as fast as Guling, attacking him from all sides. But to his surprise, the Shenhuan sword automatically blocked all of his attacks. However, that's fine, as he originally intended to attack the sword, while Guling, unaware of what is happening, praises Skeleton for having such a skillful combat sense that even a veteran player cannot match. Skeleton then humiliates Guling, telling him that he just deceived him without him realizing it, explaining that the places he hits will freeze, so the frost managed to slow down the speed of the Shenhuan sword. Realizing what happened, Guling recognizes Skeleton as a threat and moves faster than the sword, successfully severing Skeleton's arm, injuring him. He then boasts about what he plans to do next. However, Skeleton reminds him that he can reinstall bones at will in his current form, mocking him for failing. Now that Guling realizes he wasn't taken seriously, he becomes agitated and more determined to shatter his bones until nothing is left. But Skeleton ignores him as he is busy asking his teammates if they have finished preparing. Guling realizes that Skeleton was just a distraction and notices the other players merging their auras into a box, which the commentator explains to be the Pandora's Box, a main artifact from the West. Although it can't compete with pure combat items like the Shenyuan sword, it has a very important ability called Sacrifice, allowing the voluntary exchange of attribute points and concentrating them on one player. However, there are many restrictions and side effects. Guling knows he's in trouble when he asks Saiyan if he's out of his mind because after the sacrifice, he and these players will be destroyed in 10 hours and cannot continue participating in the competition. However, this doesn't worry Saiyan at all, as he calculated his strength. His guild still has teammates and can continue to compete. And, as the conditions set by Skeleton are truly incredible, he couldn't ignore them, especially after failing the previous main mission. The Western forces haven't raised their heads until now, and what could be better than allowing him to personally kill and eliminate Guling? So he asks Guling if there's any more attractive plan than this. Now that Guling is convinced Saiyan won't back down, he tries to discourage him by belittling his priest class, and how foolish it is to try to fight someone like him. Therefore, he decides to kill Saiyan first. However, he was soon reminded that he is now fighting against two opponents as he is surprised by Skeleton from behind. Now that he's pinned to the ground, Guling decides to go all out and breaks the hammer Skeleton made, attacking him immediately. Fortunately, Saiyan blocked him, while the other players were impressed with the power of these two, now exceeding their level by far. The commentator is more than ecstatic witnessing the confrontation of the two artifacts, even though they are wielded by two young players. The last time it was so exciting also occurred during a national war. However, even though Saiyan is a priest, he was originally trained to be a combat commander of a Yunyun. At the same time, Saiyan decided to transform his crossed shield into a sword and use Guling's Eastern Green Lotus sword art, completely surprising him. He even boasts that it's not strange for a priest to know a bit of swordsmanship, while the spectators are impressed, as expected from a brilliant successor. Azure's skill training is synchronized with their nerves. Only the simplest movements and skills can be used when connected to the nerves. Synchronization requires a lot of practice. Their methods here are almost at the level of professional PvP players, but unfortunately, Guling's talent is definitely greater than Saiyan's. Now Saiyan's sword flies out of his hand, so Guling is about to deliver the fatal blow. However, Skeleton was just waiting for him to lower his guard. Unexpectedly, Guling was doing the same. Now, he successfully pierces the bones directly, but unfortunately for Guling, Skeleton has some tricks up his sleeve. Therefore, Skeleton manages to land an attack using his severed arm, and as he said before, the places he hits freeze. Now that Guling is slowed down, Big Bear and Yiwu manage to entangle Guling's movement. With that, Guling soon realizes that all the previous delays were paving the way for these two seemingly ridiculous attacks, just to freeze and control him for this moment. Without further delay, Saiyan delivers the final blow, completing his revenge. The commentator states that the Xin Yuan sword will stop working for 3 days if it's out of the sheath without seeing blood. If attacked multiple times in one night, Guling will be eliminated. Meanwhile, on Kunlun Mountain, inside the Shen Yuan headquarters, the elders witnessed everything that happened during the trial. The battle NPC was amazed at how their disciple was eliminated. On the other hand, the Holy Infant player was agitated, ordering them to find out the origins of this mysterious skeleton since she was still in denial about what happened. Meanwhile, the others are now contemplating reconsidering Guling's position as the first designated successor, and as he was careless, he will certainly be a laughingstock for those in the West. At the same time, the other players with whom the main character was before transmigrating are now watching the events live, thinking that Skeleton's personality is exactly like the leader of their society, as both are tricksters. Meanwhile, the squirrel guy was shocked to see a familiar face. Back at the location where Skeleton is, they have finally retrieved Guling's number plate. With this, the commentator announces the list of players who have been eliminated so far, one of them being Guling. However, before leaving, he invites Skeleton to join his union and assures that he is not being petty by targeting a single person just because of elimination. He is doing this because he hopes they can enjoy and master the game better. With this interaction, Skeleton is convinced that Guling truly deserves to be the first designated player of a major union, still so handsome even after being eliminated. Before he could think more about Guling's proposal to join his union, Cece suddenly hugs him, excited to see Skeleton's true form, and asks him to do it again. While Skeleton struggles to get away from her, her passion was too strong for him, so he was about to lose control. Fortunately, Bubble appears at the last moment, allowing Skeleton to distance himself from her. After that, Cyan approaches Skeleton to thank him for the opportunity he gave, and with Guling eliminated, the entire Western Union can breathe a sigh of relief. Still, Cyan knows he shouldn't let this opportunity pass and also tries to recruit Skeleton, asking him to join his union. As Cyan is a man of culture, he tries to convince Skeleton by telling him the most crucial things they have: incredibly beautiful angel sisters and the secret recipe for milk tea made by their professional chefs. This sparked the imagination of Bubble and Skeleton, but he knew he shouldn't get carried away and said it didn't matter now. After yesterday's great battle, everyone should just rest for the day. He suggests they not worry about the competition during the day because he just wants them to have fun together. But before they could start, Skeleton asks Cyan if he has pictures of those angel sisters. Now, due to the effects of the Pandora's box, these people are very weakened, to the point of dying. At the same time, everyone is drinking, having fun, and even resting. With this, Yiwu, who was on top of a tree, says they look so lively that they even seem like friends. He adds that it's impossible for someone like him to have friends. However, suddenly, he feels a strong claw on his head, and someone tells him to stop being grumpy. It was our protagonist, who invites him to have fun with them. However, from the bottle, Yiwu gets very angry and tells him to wait and see. At the same time, as always, Bubble is enjoying a drink. Shortly after, suddenly, Dom appears trying to be kind. However, she gets angry asking where Setsi is. He replies that he left her with Yuko. Sadists like her are the best at taking care of people like that, according to him. However, Yuko hears what he said, gets very angry with him, and chases after him asking who he's calling a super sadist. Then, suddenly, Dom hits something very soft and falls backward, sitting down. Soon after, he sees that it's Aiwei, and then gets worried because he eliminated his ally. Therefore, he thought she was seeking revenge. So right after that, she says it's good that both of them are there, seeing how they act. She would like to ask something. She asks if they transmigrated or are naturally intelligent creatures. Changing the scene to a private place, Dong is asking her how she knows that. If she talks about it while they are being broadcast live, everyone will know that it's possible to transmigrate in Azure. She then responds by asking if he's never tried. There have been other transmigrators, and in her experience, any attempt to contact the outside world will be blocked. At that moment, Dong remembers that in the past, he asked Bubble to send a message to some people. However, when he sent it, only asterisks and distorted text appeared. He then immediately says that it's true. He tried a lot at that time, and when he tried to explain it to Bubble, they silenced him. Therefore, now he opposes the idea that the transmission is focused on him. Also, he asks what she meant by what she just said. Is she a native of this world, or did she also migrate? She then explains that since all of them are NPCs here, they can discuss this freely. It seems that Yuko is, like her, an intelligent being originating from Azure. He then asks Yuko, from her point of view, what kind of existence players are. Yuko responds that it is written in the books that 40 years ago, players from another world began to enter the world of Azure. They are intelligent creatures like them, and to distinguish them, they call them players from another world. Players from another world exist in two states, connected and disconnected. When disconnected, they fall into a petrified sleep. In this state, they cannot be attacked, and they do not die. Right after, Yuko and she talk about their findings. At first, she was like most Azure NPCs and never felt that the world was different. She received players who completed their quests in the Fairy Mountain, which was her job. There were two non-combatant players on the mountain. One was a merchant, and the other an alchemist. Both used to come and talk to her, so, little by little, she became aware. One day, they disconnected for a long time and didn't reconnect. This was normal for players, and she knew someone would come to pick them up. She didn't know why, but at that moment, something awoke inside her. Later, she learned that this emotion is called loss, until one day she saw one of them connected again. So, she went to him and asked why he reconnected and what happened to his friend, because he wasn't connected. At that moment, he, unable to hold back his tears, said that his friend had died. Yuko didn't understand anything and asked if he wouldn't revive if he died. Still crying, the man shouted that he was talking to an NPC, exclaiming that his friend was dead in real life and would never connect again. This meant he would never come back, and he would never hear his voice again, nor could he touch him. He wouldn't revive. It was at that moment that Yuko understood that their worlds were different. In Azure there is no true death, she thought deeply, and suddenly she understood. It was at that moment that a tear began to flow, and the man talking to her was surprised. That's how she experienced sadness for the first time. At that moment, Dong said that he had never imagined that. He always speculated about Azure's artificial superintendents and how Azure NPCs were so realistic. Some even thought they were played by other humans. So, according to her, it definitely had artificial intelligence from the beginning, but it didn't awaken until then. At that moment, Ayui asserts that she also knows that she can't discuss this topic with other players because every attempt is blocked. However, even so, they learned a little about the player's world through their conversations about how people's lives are perishable. People are born, grow, age, and in this world, there is no magic or level system. Their professions are not determined by a higher power. Some people get to do what they like, while others have to do things they don't like to survive. So, they move forward, life creates new life, and their HP bar is not visible on the day they die. In the end, they disappear. Their lives end. At that moment, Dong asks what she wants because she has not yet said her reasons for approaching him. She then says that if someone can transmigrate, it means that both worlds are connected. Therefore, she says she wanted to go to his real world. At that exact moment, Dong was shocked, speechless. Right after, Ayue says that there are still 3 things they have to tell him. First, they know why his world has levels and missions in many illogical places for players. Only a few super intelligent NPCs in Azure can think like her. Awakening is very difficult, and to achieve it, curiosity is needed. For some creatures, whenever you illustrate enough, their intelligence will be stimulated, and they will want to explore and discover why death exists in your world and why they don't know about levels or can't change professions, just like in the game. Because the world works that way. Who created this world? Furthermore, some of your NPCs have reached a consensus with the current most powerful NPCs in Azure, and that is also the reason why she is cooperating with the Dream. She told Dom that his performance exceeded her expectations, so she would like him to join them. According to her hypothesis, if they succeed in this, if they can bring their skills to Earth, like reviving or manipulating elements, they could be the new gods of Earth. At that moment, Dom asks her to stop because it's too much information to process. Then right after, Yuko gets up very excited, asking if it's really another world, and asks Dom if they can transmigrate. She also asks if there is a big difference between their world and theirs. Therefore, Ayue tells Yuko not to worry, that both are intelligent NPCs native to Azure. If she is interested, she can come with her to the Fairy Mountain after the competition. Many of them then, Ayue and also 3 NPCs residing there, were transmigrated, and through them, they learned so much about Earth. Anyway, as far as she knows, Dom was the first to transmigrate as a monster, so she hopes Dom will come with them. However, at this moment, he is very weak. His strength depends on his transfer, which is not easy to achieve. Transfers with 5 or more are basically expert level. Each person requires different materials and combinations to transfer. However, it seems he was careful in his first transfer. He can not only change shape but also add invisibility, enchantments, and additional combat elements. So, he must have been an experienced player before transmigrating. She then tells him not to misunderstand because she doesn't despise people like bullying does. Currently, he lacks much power to be able to return to his world. She adds that Guri fell, and if he hadn't fallen, she wouldn't have to tell him the clues for this main mission. This time, they are really important. An important opportunity for them to reveal the truth behind Azure. Right after, she shows him a stone, asking if he knows what it is. Dom, very shocked, says it's an airstone from the Fairy Mountain, an artifact obtained after completing a main mission, and one of its functions is to rewrite and hide character attributes. She then says that altering levels after entering the competition is not a violation of the rules. Therefore, she introduces herself again. Ice and Way Santa from the Fairy Mountain, level 105th transfer. Then, right after, she leaves and suddenly turns back, saying that she ordered Quanto Illusion Lunar to accompany him. At that moment, Dom wonders if it was all part of her plan. The gap between them is very large. Then right after, he realizes that something is not right. She didn't calculate bullying's elimination due to the large amount of information he received. He ended up overlooking that, at least in this game, high levels don't give a good advantage when it comes to killing. He concludes that she wanted him to join her gang in advance so that she could easily get clues for the main mission. Anyway, whether he joins them or follows his own path to win and receive clues in this entrance exam, it's just the best choice. So it seems it will be level 100 with 5 transfers against level 61 with only 1. The second part of the game officially begins hours later in Bubble's cabin. The protagonist is relaxed and lazy, expressing his reluctance to do anything for the day. Bubble, finding this strange, inquires whether they won't be eliminating anyone and asks if something happened. In response, he says it's something he can't explain. You know, I would never hurt you. There are many things that are hard to understand. At this moment, Grandma chimes in with a smile, mentioning that they have been together for a long time, and she has noticed some things. There's only one truth. The first mission he gave her was a lie. Wondering if Bubble has discovered that he transmigrated into the game, he acknowledges her intelligence. Simultaneously, Bubble remarks that he mentioned they could resurrect her knight, but that was a lie, an impossible strategy, right? At this point, Dom acknowledges her incredible insight. Exactly then Aiwe appears, asking Dom if he has a moment. Shortly afterward, he informs Bubble that he will attend to the test matters. Bubble tells him to go, mentioning that she doesn't even understand the rules. As he leaves, Bubble remains relaxed, pondering which mission was real and which was a lie. Inside, Yuko asks the protagonist if they can talk about his world. He replies that it's challenging to explain clearly. My world is as real as yours. Like you, I considered everything I knew to be normal. Things flowed smoothly since my childhood, and thanks to my qualifications, I could easily enter one of the best universities, something akin to an academy. I never had grand aspirations. I wanted to play video games quietly, fall in love, and live at my own pace. After graduating, I became a public servant and rose to a position that didn't require much effort. And who would have thought I couldn't control my hand? And presto, I'm inside the video game. Yuko reassures him that the details align with what she knows. She still has some suspicions, but she can deal with them later. Changing the subject, she mentions that her assumption was not incorrect. She spoke with her allies, but none of them had his number, so it's likely in someone else's possession. The next step is to retrieve it. Now that they know what number they have, the good news is that Aiwe has not yet regained her ranking, so no matter how powerful she is, she can only kill one person. This means they have the advantage. They will have to negotiate with her. If they manage to collect all the clues from the main mission, in addition to their deal, their statuses will also be different. They shake hands and decide to work together. Shortly after, Aiwe asks him if he wants to share about his world with her. Transitioning to another scene, Bear and his sister are enjoying the sunset. Suddenly, someone with a jug requests everyone to gather in the square. Bear becomes angry, thinking it's Yiwu up to his usual antics. However, Yiwu behind him denies being responsible this time. Then, it is revealed to be the protagonist, who says that after careful consideration yesterday, he realized that what Yiwu said is crucial. Bear is left confused. Dom continues, saying that he currently holds 2 rankings and wishes to negotiate sincerely with these people. He admits to being selfish before, but now he is concerned that the exchange will be detrimental to all. He deeply regrets his past actions and tells everyone that Yiwu is the most visionary among them. At this moment, Yudis tells him to leave, saying he has nothing to do with it and that he didn't know anything.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and like the video. Thank you.